Okay, meal preppers, we're on the last day. So today's job is we are gonna actually prep that food. So you've done the prowling, you've searched for all the recipes, you've got a great storehouse. Then you planned it all out according to the busyness of your week. You plucked in the breakfast, lunch, dinners, and snacks, and then you purchased it all, and now we're here to prep it. So a couple of things I want to tell you about before we get started is one, I wrote an ebook called Prep It, Meal Prep for Success. So if you feel like you need more to complement this challenge and something to kind of guide you through, I highly recommend getting that book because it involves a lot of information about nutrition as well as how to eat well when you're dining out, when you're eating at buffet restaurants, which can be a really big trap, how to prepare food for travel, how to determine how many carbs, fats, proteins your body needs. Lots of information in that book, as well as a 1-week meal plan. And then I go through that entire meal plan and show you how to prep it. Similar to this, I break it down in the minutes and the way that I would do it for that specific meal plan. So, highly recommend that. Also, if you need kitchen tools can make the biggest difference. I'm always telling my clients that our biggest step into overcoming or to reaching your goals is to overcoming obstacles. So it's very important to identify the obstacles that hold you back from reaching your goal. If your goal is meal prepping and the obstacle is, I just don't like all the time it takes because it's just a hassle, I don't have the right equipment, get yourself the right equipment. You will be amazed how much time the right equipment will save you. It almost makes it fun in the kitchen. So in this email, I've also given you links to my Amazon store where I have all my favorite tools for the kitchen, and you can just go peruse that. And I've also included the link to the blog post that I wrote that kind of goes into more detail about those tools. So check that out. Okay, let's get started. So for meal prep, this particular meal plan, this involved, I'm just kind of giving you a rough meal plan. This is the main dishes in particular. And this particular week, it involved a meatloaf, a roasted chicken one night, a salmon, chili. There was one night that was a chicken soup, and then another night that was a food bowl with a mix of vegetables and meats, and then a leftover night. So that's what I took this particular list from. So we're gonna be seeing some of those foods in this list. So I did all my prowling and I planned it, and then I came up with these 7 different meals for the weeknights, and then I put them into this structure. So this is how I do it. On your last page of your download for this challenge, you'll see kind of the template that I gave you for how to actually line this out. And so I want you to use that template. What I actually do when I'm prepping is I have a small sticky dry erase board on my refrigerator, and I write this whole thing out. It really does keep me on track. So I play this little game with myself when I'm doing food prep. It's called Hurry, Hurry, Mother-in-law's coming for dinner in an hour. And I have to get it all done. I do this when I clean the house too. And that little bit of sense of urgency, even though my mother-in-law's awesome and she doesn't care what my house looks like, it's still that sense of urgency that helps me to stay on track and stay focused. And when I write this little bit out on that dry erase board on my fridge, it really does. It works. It keeps me focused. Okay, so this is how I go about it. So I break it down into little increments, and what I do first, in these first 10 minutes, what I'm gonna do is get all those foods that can kind of be percolating on their own, such as boiled eggs, maybe I'm roasting a chicken or baking chicken or grilling chicken breasts. Maybe I'm making rice or quinoa, or maybe I'm browning meat for a night that I'm gonna have a taco salad or maybe chili, but I just wanna get that browning process out of the way so that it makes my weeknight meal much faster. I put all those things in the oven or on the stove, get them ready to go, because they can kind of sit there. Some of the things like the chicken will sit there for 40 or 45 minutes and I can be doing other things. So I get all those things ready to go, and then I move on. The next stage is the 10 to 15 minute window. And this is where I am just slicing vegetables that I plan to roast. Now, I might roast these vegetables during my prep time, or I might save them and just have them sliced and ready to go so that I can roast them right when I'm getting dinner ready in the middle of the week. It just kind of depends on what I'm doing and what I have time for. Obviously I like my food fresh, so oftentimes I'll just slice them and put them away. But if I'm gonna use roasted vegetables, say in my lunches for that week or in breakfasts, or I'm gonna make some kind of quiche or something, then I'll roast them ahead of time, because that gets me one step closer to getting that weeknight meal done and getting me out of the kitchen. So it really just depends on what I'm doing. But it only takes about 5 minutes to slice all those vegetables. Then from minutes 15 to minute 30, that is where you're gonna do a bulk of your chopping, slicing, dicing, and grating. And this is how I do it. As I always start with the onions. Maybe I have 3 different onions I need chopped up for 3 different recipes. I'm gonna chop them all at once, and then I'm gonna rinse out my Cuisinart. Now, I highly recommend getting a Cuisinart. This will make life so much easier. So if you are using a Cuisinart, or a food processor, this is the order that I go in. I take those onions, chop them all up, get them in their separate bowls or bags, and rinse the bowl out. Because onions are really easy to rinse out. Then I move on to the carrots, and I chop or grate carrots. Maybe I need chopped carrots for one recipe and grated carrots for another. So then I go through those and I get those all ready to go. Rinse the bowl out, go for the celery, go for the zucchini, whatever it is. I often will get extra carrots and zucchini and kale so I can chop them or grate them in the Cuisinart because they're awesome to use on salads, put them in chilies, in soups, in meatloaf, things that you might want to ramp up the nutrient content, but you're not sure if the people sitting at your table really want to eat them. It's a great way to hide them in your food in small amounts. And then tell your kids they're in there later, and so they'll never even know. So then I do all those easy things to rinse out. The thing I save for the very end is the cheese. If you're grating any kind of cheese, you'll want to do that last because it's kind of a pain to get out of the Cuisinart. So do that last. You don't want to get bogged down with rinsing the bowl and scrubbing the blade and all of that. So just get the easiest things out of the way and then do the cheese and set it aside. We're going to have cleanup later. All right. So that should only take you about 15 minutes. Then we're gonna go on to the 30 to 40 minute window. During this time, if I'm roasting vegetables, I put my first batch of vegetables in the oven and they've already come out. They only take about 10 minutes. So I'm gonna take those out, let them cool, put my second batch of roasted vegetables in the oven as I start to bag snacks and bag up my prepped food. So all the stuff I just chopped, I'm gonna put into individual baggies. If I need a cup of onions for my meatloaf, it's gonna go in one bag. If I need a cup of onions for my soup, it's gonna go in another bag because once again, that's gonna make the weeknight super easy. All you have to do is grab the bags, dump them in the pot, and start sauteing. Same thing with the carrots and the celery and what have you. So make it as easy for yourself on a weeknight as possible. As I always say, make the right things to eat, the easiest things to eat. Okay, so that's this 30 to 40 minute window. I highly recommend getting the little people in your house to help you bag up snacks because those snacks are gonna show up in their lunch, right? So have them bag up the carrots and the celery and maybe even peeling hard-boiled eggs and getting those ready to go, and have them engage a little bit because they're part of the food process too, and that teaches them about healthy foods and that it takes a little bit of time and planning to eat healthy, but that's okay. It's a good idea to teach them at a young age. All right, so that's when you're kind of getting rid of those foods. So you're cleaning up, you're starting the cleanup process. Now you're gonna take the meat out of the oven, whatever meat you might have in the oven. Maybe you're rinsing off the eggs or you're running cold water over the eggs. This is the 40 to 50 minute window. You can take that second batch of vegetables out, put the third batch in, and it's all very smooth. So, and then this would be a good time to make a salad. Every week I make a huge salad, and I usually get like a red leaf lettuce, some spinach, some kale, and some cabbage. I like to use cabbage in this large salad because I'm gonna be kind of nurturing this salad all week and adding to it. And the cabbage helps to separate, when I chop cabbage, it helps to separate the leafy vegetables that might get squishy early. So it creates some space between the vegetables so it lasts much longer. Another little trick about your salad is you want to, when you store this big, huge salad that you're gonna make, you wanna make sure you dry it very thoroughly. And when you store it in a large Ziploc bag. And in the bottom of the bag, you're gonna put a paper towel or a couple of paper towels folded up, put in your salad, and then put another paper towel on top because that's gonna help absorb some moisture. So it's gonna stay fresh a lot longer. So make sure that you take those precautions because it's so great to have a salad just ready to go every single night, because really an obstacle is I don't want to wash the lettuce, I don't want to chop it, I got to chop up the vegetables. Salads can take a long time, but when you make it in one large quantity that you can just nosh on all week long, it really will make things much more simply, and you will be much more inclined to eat those leafy greens, okay? So that's one way that you can keep your salad fresh. So you make that salad, let the meat cool. It really should only take about 10 minutes to get that salad made because you've already chopped and sliced and grated vegetables to put in the salad. I don't always put those grated vegetables in with my bagged salad because I want to make sure that it doesn't go bad during the week. So I try to keep any squishy, wet type vegetables in their own bags and just throw them in the bowl when we're ready to serve dinner, okay? So the very last step is cleanup. All you have to do is you got 10 minutes now to clean up and you are in and out of that kitchen in 1 hour. I am not kidding, this is how it works. So another tip, if you've got extra time during these windows, is I like to pre-mix my seasonings. I like to make my own seasonings, my taco seasonings, or maybe like a curry seasoning. And so find a good recipe that you like and make it in a big batch. And so I like to make a big batch and I save Old Spice containers and put those seasonings in there. This will save you a bunch of time during the week too. So you don't have to get out 4 different spice jars and then your teaspoons and measure it all in there. I just get all this stuff out, make a nice big batch, like I usually 10 times the batch. And then I've got my special taco seasoning or my curry seasoning or whatever it is. That saves a bunch of time instead of doing that 3 different times a week when you're serving up some kind of food that you want to spice. And as I said, sometimes I slice my vegetables for roasting and set them aside, put them in the fridge for later in the week, and sometimes I roast them there. I always try to make sure I have extra protein throughout the week and extra grated vegetables because if you have them grated and ready to go, you'll be surprised how many different places you can find to throw extra vegetables in: eggs, soups, chilies, quiches, meatloaf, salads, all kinds of places that you can throw those extra veggies in. And if they're all prepped and ready to go while you're using the Cuisinart or the mixing, the food processor, it's gonna be much more likely that you're going to use them. Now, this recipe guide that I made for you, this was if I had a bunch of different meals that I wanted to make throughout the week. You might be somebody that either lives alone or just lives with a spouse, or maybe not a bunch of kids running around, or they're big enough and they're eating on their own. You might want to just plan on just keeping it as simple as possible. Roast a whole bunch of chicken breasts and then bake some sweet potatoes and steam some broccoli. Put them into individual containers. If you're not somebody that minds eating the same thing every day, put them in individual containers. Each container has a serving of chicken, sweet potato, broccoli, whatever the foods are, or some rice or whatever it is. And make individual lunch containers. And all you have to do during the week is grab that container, lunch, dinner, or breakfast. But choose those meals. If it's something that you don't mind to eat the same meal every day, that will definitely keep you on track. You might want to start out, if you're not really somebody that likes to cook or spend lots of time in the kitchen, even though it's only an hour, that might be an easy way to go at the beginning. So just pick a few things that you would like to eat throughout the week and make multiple batches. Maybe for a couple days you're gonna have chicken, sweet potato, and broccoli, and a couple days you're gonna have salmon, rice, and Brussels sprouts, and those are individual containers that you've made. They're just kind of grab and go, just like you would a lean cuisine, but it's much healthier for you. So those are some ideas for you. Another couple tips would be maybe you could bag up during the snack bagging time. If you're doing smoothies for breakfast, maybe you could bag up your fruit, the portions of fruit that you would use in a smoothie. So in the morning, all you have to do is dump it in the blender. Another thing I do is sometimes I mix up like a bag of oatmeal with the seasonings that I put in the raisins, and I put in the cinnamon, and I put in the protein powder. And so I don't have to take all that stuff. I even put in the nuts. I don't have to take all that stuff out in the morning and put it all away. It's just, I get it all out at once, make a nice big bag of this premix, and it's ready to go. So be thinking when you're looking at your recipes, look at every recipe and think, what could I do ahead that will save me time during the week? Because you are gonna thank yourself, because I guarantee you this coming week is gonna be so much easier, and you're gonna find that you stay on track so much better. So that is how you're gonna do your meal prep. Let me hear about it in the Facebook group. Also, if you need more guidance, like I said, you can click on the link below and you can find my meal prep book. It's $14.95, and I think you're gonna get a really good value out of that, just kind of breaking it all down and having it laid out in front of you. And you're gonna learn about nutrition and dining out. So thanks you guys so much for joining me for the meal prep challenge. I love your feedback, and I hope that it kind of just got the ball rolling for you, and that you were able to, dabble in it, and it's gonna get better as you practice, because it is something that takes practice and you have to fit it around your lifestyle. But I'm really hoping that this is the thing that got the ball rolling for you and you'll get started. All right, thanks for joining.